It doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? The banks went along fine for 200 damn years. They never had this problem before. Well, let's see, actually. They did have this problem. It was back in the late 1800s when the government pressured banks to make loans, and counties and states borrowed up all the money they could borrow from banks to make loans, not for houses, but for railroads. Well, that led to a panic and a crash too. And it was in 1893, I believe. And they brought Vanderbilt in, or Carnegie, I think it was Vanderbilt, brought him into some office of the government in New York City, and they asked him to explain his view of the economic crisis. And he says, building railroads from nowhere to nowhere is not a legitimate business endeavor, while making mortgages to people who will not pay the money back is also not a reasonable business endeavor. Pierpont Morgan knew that, right? Vanderbilt knew that, and today, who knew what was going on? Buffett knew it. Not William Buffett. Warren Buffett. He knew all about what was coming. 2 years ago, they were warning people, just pulling money out of the stock market and reserving cash for when they crash, and then you gather up the resources when everything crashes. People have seen it coming. The people on the top that in the know saw it coming. It hasn't been engineered on purpose. It's like Soviet Russia, you know? Think about Soviet Russia. Decade after decade after decade, going downhill, crashes, implodes. Who engineered that crash? Who engineered that implosion? Oh, people saw it coming, so it must have been engineered, right? Has to be a pilot if the plane crashes. Gotta be a pilot steering it towards the ground. Or is it just that no one knows how to stop it? Is it just that we got in too deep? Is it just that there was too much going on and that we didn't know how to reverse it and we didn't know how to slow it down? And the crash became inevitable. Is that what it was? Or is it that there's selfish, evil, greedy people somewhere who are benefiting somehow from the crash? Nobody lived better in the Soviet Union. I even had someone just a few months ago leave a comment on one of my pages. Something about, sure, the poor might have had it rough in Soviet Russia, but what about the leaders? They didn't have it rough. Hell with that. The leaders went to the Gulag as often as the regular people, and more. Think of all the Red Army officers that were purged. No, a bad situation's not good for anybody. Same in America. Warren Buffett would much rather have a healthy economy than to have a sick economy where he has to go around buying banks that are bankrupt, and then he finds that inside these banks are hidden debt that he didn't know about. Billions of dollars. He'd rather not have that situation. He would rather have a healthy economy to go around in. Just like any normal human would rather have a healthy nation to walk around in instead of Russia. I would rather be a poor, homeless bum in America than to be the president of Russia. Putin is in danger day and night, and he knows it. This KGB man, he knows that he could be assassinated any time, any day. He knows it. It's a bit off the subject, but it just goes to show that if America crashed, it's not because it was designed or planned. The people who think that this has been planned, you know, you're giving people way, way, way too much credit. Way too much credit. They planned it not knowing the consequences. It is a plan, but they didn't have a clue what was going to happen. There were people who did have a clue, and they said, you've got to stop this. No, we can't stop it. That would be prejudice. That would be biased and racist. What does it mean to say that 52% of whites have houses and 30% of blacks have houses and 68% of Asians? What does that mean? That means we're prejudiced against the blacks. Well, we better get them some damn houses. And what about all the white people that are poor? Right? Why are they poor? They're poor because they don't have any property, no motivation, no reason to do anything in life. Right? Because they're being held down. Their self-esteem would come up. They would be more aggressive in their lives. They would be better people if they had a house, something they owned, something they could call their own, instead of just being worthless renters. Right? See all these arguments? And the government drove this policy and drove it and drove it and drove it and was proud of it. And now we're paying the consequence. We have to. It's inevitable. So it is not the case. It is not the case that the free market did this. The free market would not have done this. The free market would not borrow money out to people that wouldn't pay it back. That is ludicrous.